Hello and welcome to today's version of Handyman Stan builds a van. On today's version, we get more wood. Yeah, this was kind of shady on how I brought the wood home today. I didn't think it through, and yeah, I used 4 tie-down straps and tied it down on top of the tire. Fortunately, the hardware store is only like 1.5 miles, 2 miles from home, all surface streets, so we got it here. I'm just laughing at myself while I'm putting this up there. But today's gonna get started with a trip to the hardware store, and that hardware store didn't have everything I needed, so I have to go to another hardware store. But that's fine. I'm gonna do that. I won't put it on video. I'll save you guys all that little running around the stores and stuff. When I come back, we will start in on the van. So yeah, still have a lot of cutting to do, a lot of stuff to get done, but we will have some friends today, so it'll be a good day. So I thought I'd stop for a second and show you what I'm actually using. This is a quick square, I believe it's called, and there's quite a few neat things that you can do with this. It has a side here that you can put on the side of the wood. Of course, you might have seen me use this quite a bit to, measure. I'll do a straight line on a right angle from the side of the board. You could also measure angles with it. So you put a pivot point here, and then you've got all your angles, so you can line up an angle pretty easily. But one of the other things that I like is that it has these notches in here and also over here. And so what I can do is I can take my pencil, right now I'm doing it at 5.5, shove my pencil through there and run this down the side of the board, and I have a consistent 5.5-inch line all the way down the board, as long as the edge there is straight. Which is why I just flipped this board over, because my last cut, I got kind of wonky on it, and so that's not quite a straight edge anymore. So I'm not proud of that. So I may not use that board, or maybe use it for smaller pieces or something of what I'm doing this with. But that's one of the neat uses of this quick square. Now, the other thing is you have a nice 45-degree angle on it as well, so if you need to do a 45. But there's a lot of fun things that can be done with this. There's whole videos on how to use this, but I just thought I'd show you what I'm using it for right now. Putting it 5.5, running it down the board so I have a straight line so I can cut the board lengthwise. Another explanation of what the hell is Stan doing. So yesterday I cut this board and put it up against the wall. Now the walls curve, and so this has a straight cut on it. I was getting tired. I was trying to use the material that I had to do things that I could do because I was running out of material, and so I did this piece. And then when I was doing the cut, as I got to the end, the plywood broke and screwed up the front surface of it. And so I was already not happy with how I had laid it out, and then it cut bad. And so I was just like, throw my hands up, leave it alone for a little while, come back to it when I have material tomorrow. So I have material today. The thing that I did do is I used this as a template, and then I went back into the van and I measured every time the wall got 1/4 inch further away or closer. And so with that, I've used this template to actually do the curve of the wall, at least draw it out mostly here on the wood. Now, an important thing to know about my tools. And one of the tools I need is back in here, so let me use something to fish it out with, because it's all the way back here. Come on, there we go. So there's multiple tools to cut with. You've seen me using my circular saw. This is a nice, very used, very dusty circular saw. I think this blade is only 5 or 6 inches. I don't remember. This is a tiny blade. This isn't great for larger pieces of wood. Doesn't actually cut them, but this does great for plywood. Now, the thing is when you use that, the surface that you're cutting on is gonna have, is gonna get ripped, and is gonna have rip out, I think it's called. And so it's going to have a jagged edge. That's one of the things that Sam does, is she sands the edge. But we try not to stain that side because, you know, it doesn't look good. But the other side, as the blade goes through and cuts, it makes a nice clean cut. So the bottom side is the side that we stain. Now, I also have a reciprocating saw. So this guy goes back and forth like that, and I've got a scroll blade on here, which means it allows me to move the blade around. It's a thinner blade, and so I can maneuver around angles and stuff. That's what I used when I showed you guys the other day on the corners here, is I used this with the reciprocating saw. Now, sorry, my allergies are kicking in. The thing that's different with this is the side I'm on is this good side, and the back side is what gets ripped. And so I always have to kind of think about what tool I'm using and what side is going to be the good side, or the hero side. And so that's what I'm working on right now. And yeah, it's fun, but you know, it keeps the mind working at all times. And that's what makes this project hard as well, is I get home, I'm not physically tired, but I'm mentally, you know, I'm not only physically tired, but I'm also mentally tired because this brain is going. All right, back to doing. So here's another thing that I'm doing, and in a not different or unique, but this is another way of doing things. So back here in this corner, there is a white corner of the van, and we want to cover that up with wood because we want this to all look good. That's a very tricky spot, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a cardboard box here and a knife and do my best to cut that shape out, so in that way I can transfer it onto wood again. So similar to what I did with the wall on the other side, but this one might be a more technical of a cut. Now to take what I learned from that and try to transfer it to some wood. Using this cardboard, I made a rough cutout of what I'd like to do here. It goes this way. And I'm going to bring this in and see if it will bend how I want it to bend, or how I think it'll bend, and then I'll clean it up a little bit more from there. So let me cut it out and bring it inside. Hey, look at this! We've got friends! We've got Sam's back, and our partner Tom is here! Yay! So they're gonna work on staining and conditioning and sanding on that side, and I'm gonna keep working on getting them stuff, and we'll keep going. Thank you guys for showing up and helping. Yay! So here's another thing that I'm playing with, is this board isn't as flexible as I thought it would be. So what I'm doing is I'm going to try to cut grooves in the back of it like this. I've added a little bit of water so in that way it'll flex for me without breaking. But I've cut through the layers that aren't the front layer. And so in that way it will be flexible somewhat. And so in that way I can kind of get it to bend in directions that I want without damaging the front layer, so in that way the front layer will still look good. So this was my test piece, and now I'm going to actually do it to my actual piece. Got another friend that showed up. This is Trung, and so Trung's going to help today with some of the electrical while I'm making some more of these cuts. And so we're getting there, and that worked out real nice. Sam just helped me outline the other cuts I need to make on it, so I'm going to make those real quick, and then we're off to the races. For the moment, I've got Sam and Tom working on the staining and sanding and conditioning of stuff that has been cut. Trung is starting to work on electrical. He actually did fix the door lock, because the door lock on the sliding door there, it wouldn't close. Well, you could close it manually, but you couldn't close it with the key on the outside. And so that is done. And so he's working on electrical right now. And it's lunchtime. So I am going to do a quick loop. I'm going to run back to the hardware store because I didn't get a terminal strip for the negatives to be connected into, which is probably a good thing to have. And then also Sam is concerned that we don't have enough stain and conditioner, so I'm going to pick up some stain and conditioner. And I realized that I may be short 2 hinges on the type of hinges that I'm using, so I need to pick up hinges. And then I'm going to go pick up lunch. And so we'll have lunch. Yeah. So here I go to the hardware store. There we go. I got everything I needed from the hardware store, and so now I'm off to the Pizza Box, is the name of the pizza place. Fortunately, the pizza does not taste like the name of the company, but a little pizza for everybody. So here I go, off to the Pizza Box. Pizza acquired, and now back to the van and all of my friends. We are back to work. Sam and Tom are out here working on stain and sanding, and yeah, so this pod's over here. Trung and I are working on electrical. Things are moving along. Let's watch them work for a little while.
while you've been watching them sand outside, I've been inside here. Trung's been outside there in the garage doing some wiring. And so we finally are ready to test some lights here. And see, they go on, they go, yeah. So I've got an on-off switch here, and Trung has an on-off switch back there. So go ahead and turn them on, Trung. Are they on? Yeah. Okay, now try the dimmer. And they dim! So he can set the level that he wants to dim them to, and I can turn them off from up here, and then when I turn them back on, they're still set to that dim level. Awesome! Now to actually wire them to the circuit board and the rest of this. But this is the hardest circuit in the van, I think. Here we go, back to wiring. We're winding down a little bit. Trung's heading out. He's done some pretty good wiring back here. Took us a little while to figure things out. There was a fuse. Hey, look at that. Front side. Back side. Lots of light.
Dimmer.
Good. Ooh, I have a dimmer too. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spent, what, about an hour trying to find wiring. Turns out we were missing one fuse in the fuse box. But we figured it out, and now he's wired the upper lights, so we are good there. And next I'm going to wire in the fans, and we're good to go. So Trung's going to head out for the night. I'm going to keep working. Sam and Tom are still over there doing their thing, and sanding, staining, prepping. But we're still going. So you've kind of seen me bouncing around, playing with different things. What I actually have it right now set up is I'm plugged into what's called shore power right now. So I'm plugged into my mom's house, and that is charging the battery right now at 5 amps. We're increasing by 5 amps. If I shut off the lights, I'm still getting 5 amps up. So it's charging the battery. So what I'm going to do is fully charge the battery till it's charged, and then this controller here has a setup button, whatever, to set it that it's fully charged. And so in that way, from there, it knows, you know, it's going up or going down. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm drawing power in from the house and putting it into the battery and running the lights in here. That's pretty cool. So now I got to figure out what's next in my wiring schema. I think right now the fans are not connected. I think that's my next step, is to connect the fans. So Tom and I are discussing whoops, I'm in the dark. Let me turn on the lights here. There we go. Tom and I are discussing the amperage of the battery and the usage of the battery. And once we got talking, I was like, you know what, we should put this on video. So I'm going to kind of recap our conversation and we can continue it here. If I get untangled, there we go. And I'm going to bring this forward here so you can kind of see it, hopefully. There we go. So right now, go ahead and turn it on to full brightness. Full brightness. There we go. So at full brightness, it's not focusing on it. There we go. 1.925 amps. Okay. Now I'm going to shut off mine. Leave yours at full brightness. And now it drops down to 0.92 amps. Now he's going to play with the dial there to dim them. And you can see it's down to like 0.3 amps. That might be 0.5 amps. 0.4 amps. 0.1 amp. Right? And then if you shut it off completely, that's the only things running. And we get down to pretty much nothing. Okay, so go ahead and turn them back on here. So what that means, what this translates to, and why this device was so important to me to have installed, is the battery we have is 110 amp hours. So if I shut this off and that is on full brightness, and she leaves the van, that is 1 amp. And it can run like that for 110 hours. But if we have them both on full, now you have half of that. So what's half of 110? 55? 55 hours, right? And as you add more and more things that you're running in the van, the shorter amount of time that the battery is going to survive. And then, you know, the solar that will be on the roof, it's not there yet, will put power into the battery at a certain pace. And so this is really awesome because go ahead and plug in shore power again. Right now we're drawing 1.8 amps. And when he plugs in shore power, there we go. Now that arrow went up and it's charging right now at 5 amps. Okay. The battery's getting close to being fully charged, so the charge controller in the panel back there knows that. This knows it, and so it slows down the charge, and eventually we'll just give it a little bit of a trickle charge. Now, let's say that battery's full. We're plugged into shore power, which means we're plugged into my mom's house. These lights overhead are no longer drawing power off of the battery. They're pulling power from inside. So that's why it's nice to plug into shore power, is because then you can run everything inside and charge the battery. So that's what we're going for. So I'm really pleased that this is all working so far. So thought I'd put that on video. Back to playing with more electrical. Right now what I'm kind of doing is I am setting up the AC power, your power plugs like this that are in your house. Now again, when you're plugged into shore power, these will run off of your shore power. And so these are going to be nice. But when you're not, then you have to plug into the inverter, and it draws power like crazy on these. And we'll play with that once I get that all set up, but that's not wired yet. But that's what we're kind of doing right now. And I'm doing 3 sets of these plugs. One inside the vanity. It's the best place I can figure out how to put it on this side, so it's inside the wall on that side. There's going to be one in the back on top of the counter, and there's going to be another one right right in here underneath the power distribution center, so she could plug things in on this side. Maybe, you know, the refrigerator counter, she could charge things here. So that's what we've got right now. That's where we're at. All right, back to it. What time is it?
It is 8:30.
It's about 8:30 at night. We're gonna have dinner soon. Erica's bringing that to us, and after dinner, I'm gonna keep going. They'll probably go home. They're all cleaned up for the night, but it's making progress, and that's what I want. Okay, it's about 9 o'clock at night. It's time for dinner. So I'm gonna go eat dinner. Well, that was a good dinner. It's now 9:30 at night. I left my hat inside. I gotta go get it. I have the electrical plug down there wired to that yellow wire that's right there. And now I'm gonna run it under the bed and over to that plug and this plug here, and then see what else I can do from there. Back to work. So I'm working on electrical, and Sam and Tom, there they are. They've been chatting with Mom and Erica inside, and so they're headed home. Thank you guys for your help today.
You are very welcome.
You guys made some good progress out there.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. We'll start to see some of the stuff that they did actually get installed, hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah.
And with any luck, they might be back tomorrow. I don't know. Don't want to twist their arm.
We'll see how our schedule is.
That's it.
Very touch and
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Come on, lean in.
But it'll.
No.
There you go.
There you go. So, either way, Erica may join me tomorrow. But they're going to call it a night. I don't know. What time is it?
Almost 10.
Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock.
Yep.
So it's time for them to head home. That was a wild Erica in the background, by the way. You want to pop your face in the back? There you go. There's a wild Erica. And a Kizzy girl.
And a wild Kizzy.
Come here, Kizzy. Come here, Kizzy. You want to be on video? There's the Kizzy girl. Yep. We'll let you do another cameo in the video tomorrow when there's not so many screws on the floor to hurt your feet.
Come on.
There you go. Jump down, baby. So, thank you guys. I so much appreciate your help.
You are very, very welcome. And yeah, we'll see what our schedule is like tomorrow, and hopefully that we can pop in and see if there's anything we can do.
Still plenty more staining, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Yep, I'm getting close on electrical.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Things are going good. All right.
Well, we'll let you get on to it.
Thank you, guys. Hey there, it is about 11:45 at night, and it's time for me to wrap up and go home. But I did get another thing wired here, so we've got the overhead lights are wired, the fans are wired, but the inverter is wired, because I wanted to see power draw on the inverter. So we are offshore power right now. I'm drawing 1.8 amps because I have both lights on. So I'm going to shut off the rear lights. So I'm down to 0.974 amps. Okay. I have a heat gun here that I've been using for things, joining cables and stuff. So turning on the inverter itself, just turning it on. I jump to, it surged to 2.3, but now I'm at 1.7. So it's only drawing just under an amp of power. That's not too bad. Now this is one of the bigger amperage devices, which is why I put it here. Turn that on, 27.3 amps. So that jumps up 26 amps. We're back down to 1.6. So that jumps up 26 amps. So what does that mean, that this jumps up 26 amps? You get a warning when you shut it off that it doesn't have power. And now I'm back down to 9.57. So what does this mean if it draws 26 amps? Well, this is, like I said earlier, a 110 amp hour battery. So that turns this battery into 4 hours. And it's dead. I don't know what it takes to charge it from 0 on the solar panels, because I don't have the solar panels hooked up yet. But that's something to be aware of, is that this single battery will die in 4 hours running this. Now, again, I don't know what other power needs are going to be. You know, occasional things, plug them in, run them for a few minutes, that's fine. But, you know, if any of you have a PlayStation and have a way to check amps, that's one of the things she has to do, is to be able to play on her PlayStation. And, you know, eventually there's supposed to be a TV that goes in here, but that just hasn't happened yet. And so, how many amps does a PlayStation run? I think it's a PlayStation. Now I think about it, I forgot to ask. But I think it's a PlayStation. You know, that's going to make a difference. And so that's going to be an occasional thing. Unless she's plugged into shore power, then this doesn't matter. And the battery will charge. She can play all she wants. That's a whole different story. But if she's just going to play off the battery, you know, and if it's drawing that many amps, this battery is going to go quick, which is why we added the option for a second battery. Again, haven't gotten it, but we can have a second battery in here. All right, with that, I'm going to clean up a little bit here. I'm going to be back, you know, tomorrow morning as early as I can get here. I think I need to swing by a hardware store. I've got... Actually, I think I'm okay. There's a few things I need to tweak. I think I've got the wrong circuit breaker here, and I need to get a new circuit breaker, but for now, it'll work. I can get that at a later point. So I don't think I'm going to waste my time at the hardware store tomorrow morning. I think I'm going to get right here and get working. But for you guys, it's late. I'm starting to ramble. For you guys, click like. If you like what I'm doing, please click like. And if you want to see more of things that I do beyond the van, because pretty soon this van will be done, believe it or not, click subscribe. This channel I will continue to add things to after the van is completed. And share this out to some friends, you know, get the word out. So with that, thank you so much. Have a great day. I will see you on the next one.